Wow, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we're really happy to be here today and to celebrate with all of you. And I just wanted to ask before we get started, I'm sorry to ask this question, but has anybody seen Eli's other song? It's blue, it has guitars on it, it's his favorite song, and I think it had his name on it. So we're going to tell a little bit of a story, and it's about lessons learned. So listen, kids, it's a story. Okay, once upon a time, a long, 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 long time ago, well, not really that long ago, there was this amazing school, a beautiful school. Not just beautiful physically, but beautiful from the inside out. Really, really magical place. And it was called, what was it called? APS! Aquatic Park School, All People's School. So in this really, really magical school, there were lots of lessons learned.
First off, in the baby room, there was a magical teacher, a baby whisperer, also known as Syrian. And all the babies from this group, 5 of the babies, they loved Syrian so much they never wanted her to leave them, and not even for her to go to the bathroom. After the babies grew up, they were under the guidance of Valerie, who joked with them all day long as her way of loving them, and they learned to play next to each other and not take toys from the friends. They also learned to have fun dance parties.
So many of the groups would be dolphins, right? It was just dolphins. It was dolphins year after year, dolphins, but not this group. This group demanded to be their own unique type of dolphin. And there was lots of discussion and lots of debate, which of course is lots of learning, and learning for parents as well. And they decided to be the love dolphins, and a lot of language development, a lot of how do we express ourselves, all that emotion, all that feeling, all that. Give me some space. I need more space. Check your body. Check your body. And I don't want you to do that. Lots of language development. Lots of new friends, lots of learning how to share, and when it was okay to say, I don't want to share. This is my toy. This is my own toy, my own share day toy, and it's okay for me to say this is mine.
And then they moved on to be giraffes. And again, they wouldn't just be regular giraffes. They would be some regular kind of spotted giraffe or animal giraffe. So through the process of voting and figuring it out, they became the rainbow giraffes. And they added more friends to their group. And they helped. Now they got to be the bigger groups, bigger kids. So then they got to help the dolphins and the other kids and learn to do it that way and to show them which day is barefoot day and which day is bike day. And maybe we do bikes on the courtyard. And we can keep all those things going together and teach the little people. They got to go on adventures and bigger and broader adventures instead of just like over there at the bubble park. They got to go to Dragon Park and play, what's the game that's so great? Freeze, Tickle Monster, exactly. Or whatever else they came up with every single day. And anywhere on the bus is a good adventure. So the parents got to go along because it's always fun to ride the bus. And then they got to ride on trains, and they're now big enough to go on the train trip to Martinez and spend hours and hours and hours, and the parents were like, how is it the teachers do this all day? Because that day is a really long day. Just out there for hours and hours hanging in the park in Martinez. So we got to watch them earn their keep. And then they grew their curriculum. And of course, being APS, they decided what they wanted to learn about and where they wanted to go with it. So they got to be superheroes galore. They got to figure out their own superheroes and they got to shoot people, but not really. And they got to learn about babies too, and how babies are made and where babies come from in great detail. Because there were lots of babies around. And then they moved on and moved on again.
So with many, many children, the final year before kindergarten is a time when they first start to influence their name. And even though this group had been doing it, they perfected it in this final year. They could have been anything. They could have been super cougars. They could have been starlights. But no, they're polar bears. And we all became polar bear family all together. And during this time, there were ups and downs and twists and turns, not always easy. Some struggles, transitions that as parents were like, oh, really now? But we learned how to get through them. We got through those things together, through listening and struggling and crying. And that's one of the beauties of this amazing group as we came together, is that we did that incredible heart searching together. So, as many stories go, there's a beginning of the story, there's the middle of the story, and we've come to what we call the end of the story, about how this is more than a preschool, way more than we ever thought it was going to be when we signed up and we asked what are the hours of the school and which teachers are going to be here and when do they eat lunch and what happens if they don't eat lunch. Way more than that, because this is a school where the teachers partner with the parents in listening to their children and letting their children thrive and grow, and also helping the parents deal with the growing pains of those children thriving and growing and pushing and pulling. And in a way, it's like at the end of the story, there's a new beginning. And just like that, APS has imprinted our hearts and the hearts of our children, and it will never really end. We're going to carry that forward into the next adventure, our next part of our journey.
So when I was trying to figure out what I might think about saying, he's like, after a while I was thinking, trying to figure stuff out, and I was like, well, first of all, it's clearly about the process, as APS has taught us over and over and over. So I was like, okay, noted, got it. And then I asked Maya, too, what she thought I should say. So I did just want to be sure to include what Maya thought we should say, which is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pronouncing the Polar Bears Show. I've been loving this group for years and years. And I had one last thought of wisdom that Teo's kindergarten teacher had shared with me somewhere through the years, which was that she says, you know, when you have that little feeling in your stomach, the butterflies, kind of like something's kind of nervous, she's like, that's when you know you're doing something right. So maybe that'll be useful for people as they have butterflies in their next steps.
And one final part, which I will leave for you all to read, is really, I don't know how many of you have heard of the All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten by Robert Fulghum. I may have mispronounced that. But really, we're a few steps ahead because all we really need to know we learned at APS. So I will leave this out for folks to look at and just to see all the lessons actually parallel to all the things we've learned here. We're really thankful for the community here, for which we know that our children have learned about diverse people, cultures, perspectives, even fashion sense, and are accepting of it all. And because of that, our children have found their sense of self and their voice, despite our objection at times, and they will transition just fine to the next chapter of their lives. So cheers.